Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, economy, and development in Nigeria and around the world. In June 2023, barely a month after he was sworn in as President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu began economic policy or monetary policy reform and the flotation of the Naira. So it is now 10 months since the flotation of the Naira by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The flotation, which has exacerbated the state of the Nigerian economy and spread hardship of unprecedented proportion among the populace. 10 months after, are we still floating the Naira? Or the right question should be, is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his economic team still floating the Naira? I doubt that. Thank God that they are no longer floating the Naira. To me, that is the reason why the Naira is trying to stabilize from a low of 2,000 Naira to the dollar to what it is today, strengthening to about 1,200 and something Naira to the dollar. But nobody should forget the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, before he began his monetary reform 10 months ago, inherited a currency exchange rate of 460 Naira to the dollar in the import and export window, and 700 to 750 Naira to the dollar in the black market. So what is going on with the flotation of the Naira? It's apparent that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has quietly, after understanding the folly of going ahead with the flotation, removed his hand. His administration have abandoned that flotation. Now, for those who don't know what is flotation of currency, a floating exchange rate refers to an exchange rate system where a country's currency price is determined by the relative supply and demand of other currencies. Currencies with floating exchange rates can be traded without any restrictions, unlike currencies with fixed exchange rate. So when you have a floating exchange rate, it means, like they said, the forces of demand and supply determine the rate of the currency. But that is no longer what we have in Nigeria today. Those who are mounting demand and supply will determine the currency rate in Nigeria. And we are condemning former CBN governor, MFL, has gone back to their vomit. They are now guiding the Naira just the same way that MFL was doing, and he received all the condemnations. Because that is the only alternative way. Because if they don't, perhaps by now the Naira would have been exchanging for 3,000 Naira to the dollar. That's a fact. Now look at what is happening to show you that they are no longer talking about demand and supply determining the currency rate in Nigeria. In March 26th, the Central Bank of Nigeria directed the Bureau de Change to sell dollars at 1,269 naira to the dollar. That was what they told BDCs to do. So you can see they are now fixing the exchange rate. They are no longer doing that braggadocio that demand and supply determines the currency. In that March 26th, the central bank disclosed that it will be allocating $10,000 to each bureau de change, operator to sell at, that's it, to sell to them at 1,251 naira to the dollar. And then they can now sell as 1,269 naira to the dollar. Now this was contained in a circular signed by the bank's director, Trade and Exchange Department, Dr. Hassan Mohammed. By now it's clear Tinubu has abandoned the flotation of the Naira. But that is before a lot of damage has been done to the economy by that flotation. In the statement we are talking about, that was, or the directive that was given by the CBN in March 26th, the Apex Bank also directed each Bureau de Change operator to sell the dollars to eligible customers at a rate not exceeding 1.5% above the purchase price, implying that the BDCs are not expected to sell above 1,269 naira to the dollar. You can see the currency market in Nigeria is now regulated. The fancy idea of demand and supply determining the exchange rate of the Naira has gone for good. Rightly so. Because if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had consulted widely, because by the time he floated the Naira, he does not even have a cabinet, doesn't have minister of finance or anything of that nature. And the country is paying the price today for that decision. Now, what this shows us is that the Tinubu administration has seen the folly of flotation of the currency, something that Emefiele vowed in 2022 that Nigeria will never float its currency. In fact, Emefiele told the IMF and the World Bank that Nigeria will never float its currency because Nigeria does not have the capacity to have a floated currency, being an import-dependent country. In fact, the crisis we are seeing today was foretold by Emefiele, who resisted the pressure to float the Naira, and he told the World Bank and the IMF so that Nigeria will not float its currency. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, imagine in a controversial circumstance as president of Nigeria, perhaps wanted to dance to the tune of IMF and World Bank so that they will give him some level of legitimacy following the controversy that surrounded his emergence. And at that time, the Supreme Court was yet to rule about his presidency. So They thought that floating the Naira will make IMF and World Bank happy. But it had come at a huge expense to the economy and welfare of Nigerians. Now, having abandoned flotation of the Naira, common sense ought to have told the federal government to tell Nigerians and to apologize that they were sorry for the hardship they passed through as a result of ill-advised flotation of the Naira. I remember as in February, Issa Sage, senior advocate of Nigeria, pleading with Bola Ahmed Tinubu to stop the flotation of the Naira. I think that time the Naira was at 1,900 Naira to the dollar. I think at the end of the day, they realized that if they don't do something, if they don't abandon that flotation, by now, as I talk to you, Naira would have been selling at 3,000 Naira to the dollar. Despite all the finger pointing, blaming being nice and all kinds of people. The truth remains that the reason why the Naira suffered and was the worst performing currency in Africa was because of that flotation that was ill-advised. So if not for this timely reversal, which they have not told Nigerians officially, things would have gotten worse. And strangely, people think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his team, the governor of Central Bank, Kadosa, should be clapped for. No, there's no need to clapping for them. Because first of all, look at where the Naira was. Naira and the dollar exchange rate. What was it when they took over on May 29, 2023? It was 460 Naira to the dollar at the official window, and 700 to 750 Naira at the black market. Today, both in the black market and in the official window, you can't get it anything less than 1,200 Naira to the dollar. So what was the sense of clapping for somebody for that? The other day I saw Governor of an Imo State, Uzodinma, talking about how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had worked hard to bring the Naira down from 1,900 Naira to the dollar to what it is today. The question to ask, why did he take it up to 1,900 Naira to the dollar in the first place? Is that where he met it? Is that where it was when Buhari left? Is that where it was when MFLA was the governor of the Central Bank? Somebody took something to 1,900 Naira to the dollar. And then the thing has come down to 1,200 Naira to the dollar, 1,300 Naira to the dollar. And you want to clap for the person. Why did he take it to that high? As a good manager of economy. Because he said he's a better manager than Peter Obi of the Labour Party and Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. But his management has hardened the situation in the country. That today Nigeria has become a country of hardships. Everybody is doing hard. How do we ameliorate the hardship? We have become a country of palliatives because of that ill-advised flotation of the Naira. So former governor of the Central Bank, MFLA, whether I like him or hate him, the fact remains that in 2022, he was bold in telling the IMF and the World Bank that Nigerian currency will never be floated. And the Tinubu administration think they know better and they floated it. And we are paying the price for that decision. And that is why today in Nigeria, we have become a nation of hardships. That's what we are now in Nigeria, a nation of hardships, a nation of palliatives. Thank God that they have realized their mistake and has gone back to regulate the exchange rate. That is why you are seeing semblance of stability in the market right now, because they have gone back to their vomit. But have they acknowledged that they were wrong? No way. In fact, they are looking for applause like the kind that the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, was showering on them for taking the Naira to 1,900 Naira to the dollar and bringing it down to 1,300 Naira, which is a far cry from what they made on ground on May 29, 2023. Now the same thing is also happening in the fuel market, because you know that on May 29, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was being sworn in, one of the things that he said that had remained indelible was that fuel subsidy is gone, and we thought that it had gone, only for us to realize that fuel subsidy stayed there. The only reason why everybody now acknowledge that fuel subsidy stayed there and is being paid was because the friends of the administration, the IMF, told us that federal government of Nigeria is still paying fuel subsidy. That was when Nigerians, it got to them that we are still paying for a subsidy. Yet they can come out in the media and say, no, we are no longer paying for a subsidy. But we know, for IMF to say that they are paying, they are paying. And the evidence is there. If they are not paying, with the flotation of the Naira and the up to the time the Naira got up to 1,900 Naira to the dollar, the fuel price would have skyrocketed, but for that payment of subsidy. So it means that the more things change, the more they remain the same. So we are still paying fuel subsidy. And the IMF has said, stop total fuel subsidy. Remove fuel subsidy totally. That's what IMF is saying. They also say remove electricity subsidy totally. In other words, we are still paying for a subsidy, but they are not admitting that they are paying for a subsidy. They don't want it to be known that they pay for a subsidy. But it cannot be hidden. The facts are before us, in the sense that if you don't pay for a subsidy, fuel prices would have skyrocketed more than what it is today. And the IMF, when they said that, when they expressed that message to Nigerian leaders, not once did I see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or any of his ministers counter IMF, because what they ought to have done was to say that, look, what are you talking about fuel subsidy? We have cancelled fuel subsidy since May 29. We don't pay fuel subsidy. But they kept mute, because indeed they are paying. What this shows is that the economy is not being run in a transparent way. So Nigerians are being taken for a ride. That is why sometimes when people talk about that they are not being praised when they do well, because you are not sure what they are doing that you are going to praise them for. Because behind the scene, they are doing a different thing altogether. But all in all, what I want you to take away from this video is that the administration is no longer floating the Naira. Because if you float the Naira, You cannot be directing the BDCs on how to sell their dollar when they get it. It is because the market is now regulated. And that is why we are where we are today, that we're having a semblance of stability at 1,300 Naira to the dollar or thereabout. It may come down later, it may go up later, but the only reason this is happening now is that the administration has found out that he made a mistake, even though he has failed to admit it by floating the Naira. Perhaps that is the wisest decision they have taken since May 29, 2023. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.